Hello there, welcome to lesson number 1 in our series on using FluidDesigner for 3D printing to create a square cross-sectional earring. We're going to show you how you can use a Bezier curve, which is linked to a Bezier circle, which has been modified into a square cross-section so that you can create a simple earring. So if you start off FluidDesigner, your opening screen should look something like this. And we need to go to learning projects, jewellery projects, earrings, and we drag and drop lesson 01 onto the workspace, and I'll just click to start the screencast key, so any key presses I make should be displayed in the panel down here. And just to remind you that in the help window here are all the instructions on how to actually create this object to do this task. If you don't want to follow the video, you can just work through the instructions in the help window. I'll just move that a little bit out of the way. So what are we going to do? Well, we're going to create this object on the right here, this square cross-section earring, out of the two objects on the left. Now I should just say that the blue line on the left here is what is called a Bezier curve. And the grey area in the centre, the grey object, is actually a Bezier circle, which I have modified into a square cross section. So I've changed it from a circle into a square cross section, and also linked the two objects together. And I've done that for you so that you don't need to worry about it. But and what you can do in future is, if you go to hang on, let me just click group library to refresh the screen. If you go to 3D templates cross sections, you'll find a whole range of objects like this one here, all sorts of different ones. You've got a circular cross section, triangular cross section, square cross section. So this object here is very similar to this object. So if you go to templates, you can open a brand new object up. The difference between this one and this is that this has got a more circular profile. And I'll show you how you can change it to a circular profile. Along the Bezier curve on the left hand side of the object, there are a number of control points. If we highlight all of those, and we can highlight in FluidDesigner by pressing A to deselect all and A to select all, so it's just a toggle. So with all those points highlighted, if I click the right mouse button, I can change the handle type, which at the moment is set to vector. Vector gives you lines, and the profile. Automatic makes them more curvy. So if I just go to view and view it from the front, if I just select one of the control points, you'll see that as I move it, we get a curved cross section. If I now just go to A to deselect and A to select all the 5 control points, if I now switch the handle type back to vector, you see we get this more straight line, linear profile, and that's what we want to create this object in today's lesson. So we can just modify the control points until we get the shape that we want, and obviously, you know, you can play around with this as much as you like until you get the right profile. Okay, so it's not quite the same, not 100%. But as you can see, there's a lot of options that you can choose, a lot of sizes that you can choose, and a lot of shapes that you can choose as well. Now once you're happy with the shape that you've got, you can come out of edit mode. We're currently in edit mode here, and we come out of edit mode by pressing the tab key on the keyboard, and at that point you can't edit the object at the moment. Now if we just go to view and view it from the front, and we just scroll along the toolbar here, there is an interactive ruler that you can use, so you can measure the height of this. So it's 20 millimeters, that's okay, and we press the escape key to cancel that. And similarly we can measure the width of this, so it's 5.6 millimeters, and again we can press the escape key to cancel that. Now if we're happy with this profile, if we're happy with that shape as it is at the moment, I mean it's not the finished object obviously, but if we're happy with the general shape, we can click on the object itself, Now, as I said in the introduction, this is made up of an object called a Bezier curve and a Bezier circle. The main body of the object is a Bezier circle, which I've modified into a square cross section. We can't print circles, so once you're happy with the shape, what you always need to do in FluidDesigner is to change the curve into a mesh, and you do that by going to Tools, Object Tools, and converting it to a mesh. And you'll see that the colour changes. Now if we actually click on the Bezier curve on the left hand side now, and we go back into edit mode by pressing the tab key on the keyboard, you'll see that it has no effect now. We're no longer got the two curves linked together. The Bezier curve and the Bezier circle are no longer linked. We've changed the Bezier circle into a mesh. This has no effect. So what we can do is we can come out of edit mode by pressing the tab key, and with the Bezier curve highlighted we can press the X key on the keyboard and we can delete that object. We don't need it anymore. What we want to do now is to put some holes in this object, in this earring. So we're going to put some holes in the front and the back of it. But before we can do that, what we need to do is we need to break up the object into some smaller units. So if we press the tab key to go into edit mode, you'll see at the moment that we've got a number of faces, 1, 2, 3, 4 faces. I want to add some more faces to this object so that I can put in this hole here. So I actually want to be able to split this face here into 2 parts. And we can do that in FluidDesigner once we're in edit mode. If we click the right mouse button, there's an option called Loop, Cut and Slide. You can also do it with Control R on the keyboard, but right mouse button, Loop, Cut and Slide. And if we now point at the object, you can see that we get a purple line around the object. And what I want to do is I want to put in a line just there. And so I click the left mouse button and then press the enter key, or click it a second time to confirm it. So what I've done is I've broken that top face into 2 equal parts. So I'll just do that again. If I click the right mouse button, I want Loop, Cut and Slide. And you can slide vertically or horizontally on the object. So I'll just show you how you can do it at the bottom again. So I'm just moving the mouse until I find the location that I want, and then click with the mouse and then confirm with the enter key. You do need to do it twice, otherwise it doesn't work. So what I want to do now, let's see what have we got. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 parts there. Okay, so what we could do is we could put a couple of vertical slides in so that we can make the hole in the center there. So again, if we click the right mouse button, if we go to Loop, Cut and Slide, and let's do it vertically this time. So I'm going to click, but I'm not going to press enter straight away. I'm going to move it across to the left. So I've moved the left mouse button, I've moved the mouse slightly. Now I'm going to click select and press enter. And again, right mouse button, Loop, Cut and Slide. I want a vertical one. So vertical, I press the left mouse button to click. I don't press enter straight away. I move the mouse across. That will do at the moment. Click the mouse button and enter to confirm. So I've broken up the faces into smaller units. Now what I want to do is to delete the face here at the front and the back of that object. So it's this face I want to delete. Now what we need to do first of all is to change the selection mode. So I've hit the right mouse button again and go to selection mode. So I need to change from vertex select to face select, because it's a face that I want to delete. And you'll see that what happens there is we get dots in the middle of the faces. And so I can highlight that face there, and I want to delete that, and we can delete in FluidDesigner by pressing X on the keyboard and delete that face. Now you see I've only deleted the face at the front of the object. And I've just realised we haven't got any vertical loops at the back to delete it. Okay, so the loop cut and slide didn't go all the way through, so I'm going to have to add some loop cut and slides at the back face. So again, loop cut and slide vertically, drag it across to the left and press enter to confirm. Loop cut and slide, press the left mouse button and drag it across to the right and confirm. And we now need to switch back into face select mode, and I'm going to select that face there now and delete it. Quite usually with the loop cut and slide, if you do a vertical slide there, it can do it all the way around the object. I was expecting it to do it on the back face. Anyway, it didn't this time. Maybe there's a switch setting I've got off. So I can now delete that. So X to delete that face. So we've now got hole right through the center, and we're going to, if this is our earring, we're going to put a clip through there to dangle our earring. So that's it. We've used loop cut and slide, and we've deleted a couple of faces. The final thing we need to do is to come out of edit mode and add some thickness to this object. This is a shell at the moment, so press the tab key to come out of edit mode, and we can add some thickness to it in the properties window here. If we click on the spanner, that takes us to the modifiers options, and we want to add a solidify modifier. Solidify modifier. And if I just open up this panel, what I can do is I can change the thickness of the shell, and as you can see, it's filling it in the center at the moment, and it looks a bit weird. If we go to 3mm, so we could just go to 1mm and leave it there like that. The alternative is we can change the offset. At the moment the thickness is going on the inside of the object, and clearly once you go to 2 and 3 it makes a mess of the object. But if we change the offset here from -1, if we change it to +1, we can add thickness to the object on the outside of the shell. So +1 means on the outside of the shell, -1 means on the inside. We're going to leave it at -1 for the moment for this exercise, so we've put the offset on the inside. 1mm thickness will be sufficient if we want to print this in silver or gold. We now need to confirm this thickness, and we do that by going to Tools, Object Tools, and converting it to a mesh again. That will apply the Solidify modifier. So we can move that window out the way now. So there's our finished object. It's not exactly the same shape as the original. A little bit difficult to do that, but it's the general shape, and it's the principles that are important. So if we highlight the original object, we can delete that now by pressing X on the keyboard and deleting it. And here's the object that we've created today. So what we want to do is to save that, and in FluidDesigner we always recommend you go to Save As, go up through the menu system and look for the My Projects folder, Jewellery Projects Earrings, and you can save our square cross section earring as a Blender file. Now you can't print Blender files, so what you always need to do in FluidDesigner is to export this, and we like to export it as a wavefront object. We export it to the desktop as O1 square cross section earring OBJ, so it's an OBJ file, that's a printable file format. And then we always recommend you go to Netfabb Basic and open up that file and run some checks on it. So we go to the desktop, O1 square cross section earring, and as you can see we've got a warning red triangle here, so there are some issues with this object, and the colouring there suggests it's probably normals that are the problem. But let's run the repair part, and I'll just move the screen across, so and click update. So yeah, we've got some holes in the object, we've got some border edge problems. So as you can see, there's some colouring on the object itself. So let's run the automatic repair and execute it and see what Netfabb does. And if we click update now, You'll see these values have all been set back to 0, so Netfabb's done its job. It's fixed the border edge problems, fixed the orientation and the holes. So what we need to do is to just apply the repair and remove the old part. And as you can see, the warning red triangle's gone now, so Netfabb has repaired this for us, and it hasn't made any significant changes to the object that we can see. So this now is a suitable file format to print. So all you've got to do is to go to Part, export the part as a wavefront object, export it to the desktop, and Netfabb just adds the text repaired. So we can save that file now, and that's your printable file. Okay, so that's the end of today's lesson, creating a square cross-section earring. Thank you.